Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. I have a very special guest and friend here. The infamous cowboy Caleb is in the building.
Thanks
for coming.
Much. You're welcome.
Thanks for coming.
I literally just came from Coachella just for the or Stagecoach. Oh, I did Coachella too, so my voice is a little raspy.
How was everything? How was Coachella and Stagecoach?
Coachella was cool. It was my birthday, which was nice, and then Stagecoach is just a whole different level of fun, and it's just kind of like more inclusive instead of exclusive, which was really nice.
That's amazing. Yeah. I missed both this year, and I'm just like,
honestly, I didn't miss anything. It was hot.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. But I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like I'm a little pasty right now, so I probably needed the tan.
Yeah, me too.
So for the people that don't know you, which if you don't know Caleb and you're in LA, I don't know. I don't know. If you don't know Caleb and you're in LA, you might not know the right people. But for the people that don't know you, tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
My journey is a very special journey. I have a great family. My parents are absolutely amazing, and they didn't hold me back in life. And even in school, I got kicked out of 8 private schools before 3rd grade. So my parents are like, hey, we're going to homeschool you because the teachers want to put you on Ritalin because you're hyper or whatever it might be. And I was like, but they're like, we don't want to kill your spirit. So
great parents. My parents probably would have been like, what the are you doing?
Oh, no, my parents did, but I just finished my schoolwork so fast I'd get bored and I'd get in trouble. Right. So my parents were like, hey, we're going to homeschool you. And I'd finish my schoolwork very fast. And they're like, we have lives. We can't hang out with you all day. And one of my parents' friends that went to our church, they owned a car dealership. And they're like, well, why don't you come work here on the weekends and answer phones and detail cars or whatever it might be? I was like, I love cars. So I was like, cool. So for me, I was like, all right. So I started doing this. And like,
how old were you?
I was 8 when I first started doing that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was really young. And I guess child labor laws were different back then. No, I'm just kidding. But, I honestly just helped out around. But I learned the car business and I really fell in love with it. And when I was 12, they had new owners of that dealership and they didn't like me being so young and helping out. And they're like, hey, it's not going to work anymore. And it was devastating to me because I was like, I loved being there. I loved everybody that worked there. I loved the whole atmosphere and like the business and everything. And so they let me go. And I met a mentor named Ed Voiles, and he owned most of the car dealerships in Atlanta where I'm from. And every weekend he would let me go sit with one of his GMs. And I would follow them around and shadow them to learn the car business. So whether it was Ford, Chevrolet, Subaru, didn't matter. So having him as a mentor, I had relationships at all the dealerships. And one of my dad's friends happened to be looking for a car. And he was like, hey, do you know anybody that can help me get this Mustang? And he's like, Caleb can. He's like, how can he help me? He's 12 years old.
Right.
And I was like, well, just give me a shot. And I called the GM of the Ford dealership and I was like, hey,
at 12.
At 12. And I sounded like a little girl too. So a lot of people said, yes, ma'am. And, so I call him and I was like, I need this car. And he's like, I actually have it. And I was like, well, what's the best number we can do? And my dad's friend was still at the house. And I was like, hey, I can get you the car. It's actually a couple $1,000 cheaper than what you thought it would be. And he was like, no way. And he bought the car and they paid me like $300 for 15 minutes of work.
Oh, wow.
And it's called a bird dog fee. And I was like, wow, this could actually be a business.
Right.
So I was like, all right, let's try to make this a thing. So I started like hitting up everybody. And then I found out that the dealerships also buy used cars. So I'd go through all the Auto Trader magazines and I would also
How did you know to even go to like Auto Trader magazines?
I was obsessed with cars. Like it was like.
But you learned that through the process of everything.
Yeah, because I would sit there with the GMs and I would see them haggle and negotiate and buy cars. So I would sit there and I'd go through classifieds and anything I saw close to a wholesale price, I'd call and offer them this lowball number. I'm like, you want 23,000? Will you take 21,000 right now? And they'd be like, sure, if you have cash. So I called the GM at the dealership. I'm like, I have a brand new Expedition 4x4 Eddie Bauer, loaded, every option.
That was the car back in the day. That was the car. The Eddie Bauer did.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Two-tone. I was like,
hilarious.
And they would buy the car. And then I would tell the person that had the car, I was like, I want $300. And the dealership would pay me $300.
Right.
So all of a sudden I'm like, I'm doing a couple transactions a day. I'm making $1,000 a day. I'm a child.
Right.
So, and
you're like not even hit your like what is that called? Not your growth spurt, but when your voice
I haven't
changes.
even hit puberty.
Yeah, you haven't even hit puberty, and you're over here making $1,000 a day.
Yeah, sounding like a little girl. So I'm like, people said yes, ma'am, all the time, and I'm like, man, my balls are gonna drop. I can feel it. So it was such a cool experience, and so now I'm like doing real business, and then I started getting a lot of press just in the local Atlanta area for being like the world's youngest car broker. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm like so young and like just doing the most. And then when I was 14, one of my friends that was also in the automotive industry wanted to start a competitor to Auto Trader, but only for the Atlanta market. So he's like, hey,
he's 14.
I'm 14.
Okay.
So yeah,
How
I'm 14.
old was he?
He's 35 at the time.
Yeah.
And he's starting a real magazine. So at that time, I'm like, yeah, I think I could do this job. And he's like, I want you to be like our marketing director. You know, all the GMs at dealerships, the people that actually pay to advertise. And I knew that I'm being used for my relationships, which is totally fine. And that's what I've built my life on, is relationships.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I want a piece of the company also. And that's from my dad's advice, not to just take a salary. So I was like, hey, I want a piece, to be able to do this. And he goes, okay, no problem. So we'll make you the specialty market director of the company. And your job is to go and find locations that we can drop boxes, because the magazines are free. And we'll have somebody drive you around gas stations, restaurants, and be like, hey, can we put this box in front of your restaurant or gas station, any establishment? And it's nothing to you, and we'll refill it every week. And then I went to all the dealerships and I was like, hey, would you be interested in advertising 1 page, 2 pages, and let people know what inventory you have? And everybody was like, yeah, of course, whatever you want. So we blew up fast. And I mean, very fast. And Prime Media, which owns most magazines, they came to us right at 9 months after we started, and they made an offer to buy the company. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, I didn't know. And
you were what, 14?
Mm-hmm. I'm just about to turn 15. And I was like,
Did your voice change yet?
It's dropping. I mean, they're slowly, like they're halfway down at this point. I think I've got a little bit of
masculinity in the voice. They say, stop calling me yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm like, yes, sir. I mean, I talked with a fake voice. I think I was like trying to be like, hello, everybody. Right. So sold the company and I made a decent amount of money. Prime Media bought the magazine. So I took that money and I was like, how do I keep making more money?
Right.
And one of my friends gave me the opportunity to invest in cell phone stores. And before AT&T was AT&T, it was Singular Wireless. Mm-hmm. So we had Singular Wireless and Nextel cell phone stores and really built into that. And I worked my way through the automotive industry and worked with a lot of different car show series because I really loved, that was like my passion. And I created another side of a big car show series, and it was for graduated tuners because, like, at the time I was driving a $150,000 Toyota Supra, and I thought I was the coolest person ever. But girls weren't paying attention to me like they used to.
And this is at what age? What age are you now?
I'm like 16 now.
Okay, so you're just getting your license.
I lost my license before I could even drive. I got pulled over in North Carolina speeding.
At what age?
I was 15.
Okay.
On a learner's permit.
Okay, got it. On a learner's permit. But by the time you were 16, you already had enough money to pretty much live like an adult.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So, and I was very blessed and very fortunate to have those opportunities. And so I'm driving a car before I even had a license that I shouldn't have even had because it was way too fast for me. And but then all of a sudden it was like, it wasn't as cool anymore. Like everybody's like, well, what's next? Like, how do you go from like a Toyota Supra to what? So I went and bought a 2001 Lamborghini 6.0 VT.
At 16?
At 17 now. And I sold the car. I have this car and I'm like, cool. I love aftermarket stuff, but I have nothing to put on it. So I started calling companies that made parts for my Supra and other cars. And I was like, would you make parts for my car? And they're like, why would you put aftermarket parts on a Lamborghini or any exotic car? And I was like, well, I want like a wing or wheels or an exhaust. And they're like, sure, we'll try to make something. So they came and took measurements and
so you were trying to change your Lamborghini to be
special. not like
Okay.
everybody else's.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
So I
So like
started
the Fast and the Furious edition
exactly.
Lamborghini. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was very, very crazy with that stuff. So, I mean, I was obsessed with Fast and Furious. That was like my whole
I mean,
childhood.
who wasn't though? Like, who wasn't putting Nas in their cars?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
trying to put Nas in their
We
cars.
would cruise every weekend just up and down Barrett Parkway in Atlanta, in Kennesaw, Georgia, and just get kicked out of parking lot after parking lot. It was just the cops were like, "Get out of here!" And we'd go drag race and
Those
went
were
to
the
jail
days.
a couple times. It was fun. So, but yeah, so it really helped me grow in that segment and being involved in all that. There was a lot of companies that worked outside of the automotive industry, like Microsoft and RJ Reynolds, which was Camel cigarettes, and a lot of brands. They wanted to work and they wanted to really tap into the youth and lifestyle. And a lot of them would come to me for advice, and they're like, "Hey, how do we get to you? Like, you're our customer. How do we identify with you?"
Right.
And I would consult or give advice here and there. And it got to the point where, Microsoft had already launched Xbox, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to launch the Xbox 360. Would you be interested in working with us on this project outside of what you do now?" And I was like,
Right.
"Oh my gosh, what a cool opportunity."
Absolutely.
So I jumped on that with Microsoft and started working with them. And it was a very cool experience. Got to work with them for a few years, and then went from there to AT&T. And I worked with AT&T, and AT&T was such a cool brand to work with. But it was so hard to get anything done because they had so much, 3 floors illegal. So like if you wanted to even like put a piece of literature out, it would take 3 months to get an answer.
Because it has to go through the hierarchy of everything. Yeah.
And I get that. And it was just, the ship was so big. And then I had the opportunity to go to T-Mobile after that and work with them and really help rebrand that.
And during the time, you still have all of your cell phone stores.
I have all that. I've invested in, restaurants, nightclubs. Like,
and at this age, how old were you then?
I'm like 19, 20 years old now. And so I'm very like, I'm just pushing through life. Like anything that I thought was cool, I was just like,
how did your parents feel? Like, we have this like young entrepreneurial, successful child that like we took out of school and homeschooled, and here he is super successful now at like 20, 16, 17. Like, I bet they were like, "Damn, we fucking did that."
No, my parents, my number one fans, and so supportive. And the thing was, it was really crazy because when I started making money, I kind of like pushed myself away from my family because I was like, "Oh, I don't need anybody." And as I got older, I realized how much I needed them.
Absolutely.
And I tried to, and I still, to this day, I'm like, they're my rocks. It's like I need them. So I spend all my time as much as I can. I talk to my mom every day. I call my dad. All my siblings, we're all super close.
I love that.
And that's super important. So,
absolutely.
But I had to pull that back in.
I mean, like at such a young age, having all of that funding and, being that successful at such a young age, do you feel like you led towards like more of your ego and just like getting into your head of like, I am the fucking man. I'm 16. I got a Lamborghini. I'm driving. I have all this money. I can get whatever I want, whoever I want mentality.
So, with all this being said, and like you're on the uphill of that roller coaster, the downhill gets way worse.
Absolutely.
And
as there's always a downhill.
Yeah. And the thing is it's like we forget, the valleys that we go through. And when we get to that mountaintop, we're like, haha, and then God's like, okay, we're going to put you back in the valley to see how that goes. And so, I built these businesses and I'm working with different companies, and I feel like everything. And this is now, I could say we're in like the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. I've amassed a lot of cars. I'm living in a beautiful home in Florida. I moved from Georgia to Florida, and all of a sudden the financial crisis happens. I'm losing everything. I remember having a multi-million-dollar car collection, living on the 8th hole of a golf course in one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in Orlando. And I had maybe a couple $100 in my bank account. I was walking from car to car looking to be like, which car had enough gas so I could just go to the store and get some food.
Why don't you just sell a car?
Nobody wanted to buy. Nobody wanted that. That asset class was gone.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sitting there like, what do I do? How do I get ahead? And nothing was working. And I actually went home to Georgia. And my mom, like, I remember this is probably one of like the hardest things that I ever went through was I don't know where this ego came from, this like fallacy of who I thought I was. And I was in a drive-through. Like my mom was like, "Oh, can we stop and get something real quick?" I think it was like Starbucks or something. And I'm on my phone. I'm like texting, and my mom's in the passenger seat, and the lady is like, "Oh, it's like eight, whatever, however many dollars." And I hand her my card like this, and I'm sitting there on my phone, and my
Going through
mom's
your
like,
account.
No. My mom looks at me, and she goes, "Who do you think you are?" Because I'm not even looking at this person in the eye like they're a human being.
Oh, wow.
And she slapped me. And I was like, I was shocked. She goes, "This is not the man that I raised."
Right.
And I was like, it hurt so
Right.
much that I was just like, wait, where did this ego and arrogance come from? And then we're pushing into that.
This is before the crisis.
This is right around that crisis time. And so now I'm like in Florida, things are not going well. I was like, I've got to get out of here because Florida, it's real estate or hospitality. There's nothing else going on down there at this point. Like I know Miami and everything is popping now, but it wasn't back then.
Right.
So I've sold, I had the opportunity to sell one of my cars. It was a Ferrari F430 Spider for like 30, 40 cents on the dollar of what I paid for that car.
Jeez.
And I was like, I have to do it. Like I need the money and it's just, I'll make it back somehow. I used that money to move to LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's how I got here. And I'm like, finally, I'm like,
and to move to an even more expensive place.
But the opportunity, the ROI was there. So for me, it was like, I'm not growing and there's no opportunity in Florida. I have to go somewhere that there's opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I made it here and I lived at the SLS Hotel in Beverly Hills right when it opened for 3 months.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was a time.
I bet it was.
And I spent way too much money. I think my my service charges were more than my actual stay because they had the best restaurant and everybody wanted to be there and it was cool. So
you came to LA when you were how old?
21.
21.
Mm-hmm. So I'm now in LA and I'm looking for a place. Like I don't have a house. I don't have anything yet, but I'm living in a hotel and it's great.
And expensive.
Very expensive, but yeah, I had the opportunity to move a couple more cars.
Okay, because I was like, are you still running on the Ferrari money or are you selling as you go?
People in LA it didn't hit them as hard as it did in Florida.
Got it. Okay.
So I was like, all right, I could sell a few more cars and, I'm just like.
So you're selling cars from Florida to people in LA or are you still
No, I shipped most of my cars to LA from Florida. So, the things that I'm like not really driving, I'm like, all right, I can get rid of that. And I'm like, I'll figure it out as I go. And it's good. Everything's good. And ended up getting a house and I was happy. And, there was that humbling moment again where things just weren't going right. Like for the first 6 months I lived here, I wanted to move home. I was like, I didn't like the people. I didn't understand like the hierarchies. It was like going from being like a big fish in a little pond to a little fish in a huge pond.
Right.
So, and I'm here and I'm struggling to like.
That's a lot of pressure for people too that come from places that they're, the top of the top. And then they come and it's like, now you're average or even below average because there's so many people that are greater and bigger and doing more.
Oh yeah. You're never people.
It's very humbling, LA.
LA is the most humbling place I've ever been.
LA and New York.
New York, I wouldn't survive a minute.
New York is tough.
No way. I sit there and I go to meetings or like there'll be something going on and I'm like, I'm literally going up 70 floors to somebody's office just to see how important they are and look at all their accolades and see this grand office and the most beautiful place and this great penthouse that they have, whatever it might be. And then I'm like, I can't do this, it's not an even playing field because I don't have any dominance or establishment in New York at all. So I just have my words and who I am. But here in LA, I can go to the car wash and some guy can walk up and be like, yo, nice car. Or I could be like, oh, nice watch. What do you do? Oh, I do this, I do that. And then like, oh, we should connect.
Yeah.
But only in LA
like that.
Can that happen.
Yeah. Agreed.
And there's nowhere else I've ever been in the world that.
Agreed. But it's also like, how do you differentiate the people that are being real and the people that aren't? Because now it's like there's so much like facade and fraudness that's going on here that I feel like it's like,
and even
you have to
the
know.
forgiveness of fraud. There's so many people that have damaged people financially, morally.
Scammers.
And then all of a sudden you'll see them out and you're like, how did you get back in good graces?
Right.
I don't understand it.
Like, how is that even possible, or like, okay?
It's not okay. And I think that there's a lot that we're a very forgetful society, is like, I mean, you can look at everything that's happening in the news and it's like, this is the most important thing right now. We all fight, jump, get up. We got to protest, rock, whatever it might be. Then something else happens and we're like, oh, I can't be at two places at once.
Right.
And I'm like, but we never finish anything.
Ever.
And we don't stand for anything.
It's insane to like, everyone wants to come. And then there's like, this, I'm from LA, I'm not from LA, or I'm this person, or I'm that person. And it's like, well, what are you? Or are you just trying to fit in to be in this like in crowd or society of what people, I guess, of what you want people to see you as.
And the thing is like, we see things as we are, not as they are.
Right.
And when you go into everybody's mental, like even being at Stagecoach, I happened to be invited to a really cool event that was super private last night with a lot of great people. And I look around and everybody's so cool, and just the DJ that was there is a top-notch person like that. It's very humbling to be in that situation. Right. It's like the people that were there. And everybody was so cool, just looking around to make sure people could see them with the another cool. I'm sweating bullets just on the dance floor. I'm like, this is the best day of my whole life.
And that's why your voice is gone.
It's gone. It is completely gone. And I'm having the time of my life. And there was a point where I would have been that person, and I was that person that would sit there and hide from everybody because I had to be cool. Like if it wasn't, if I got a table at a club, I'd have to stand on top as high as I could so that everybody in the room could see me.
Why do you think that is? Because I feel like that's a lot. Okay.
Insecurity.
Okay. I feel like there's a lot of people that do that like, what purpose? I've always wanted to know, like, what purpose does it serve? Because, like, I mean, when I was 21, 22, like, used to host clubs or whatever the case is, but I'm like, I don't dance. Mm-hmm. Why am I here? Like, like what was my purpose, But it was like, I didn't really even want to go. I was just going because I was getting paid to go. But it's like, I didn't serve a purpose in the club because I didn't dance. Like, I was like, okay, so you're either dancing. To me, the club at that age meant like you're dancing or you're meeting somebody. Yeah. If that's not what you're doing, then why am I here?
Yeah.
Unless you're getting paid.
Yeah.
So that was like my purpose was like, okay, I'm getting paid and I'm leaving and I'm sitting, just like you said, at the table, and everyone's here drinking my drinks that I don't want to get drunk and look crazy. Yeah. So I'm not going to drink too much, maybe one or two, but that's about it. Yeah. To where it's like, what? I mean, we're older now, obviously. So it's like, I always never understood like what purpose did that serve? Like, are we doing like, I guess big dick contest, like who's getting the most bottles or who's doing this or who's doing that.
We all did that. And I think back at the waste that from my 20s and
Agreed.
The time that I put into momentary people to impress people that I don't even see to this day.
Don't even remember names.
Don't even care about. Not that they're not worthy of being cared about. They're just not even a thought in my mind. And I'm just like, I wasted so much time for nothing. But the thing is
but it was a learning lesson. So
I don't regret any of it, but I always try to tell people that we live in a very, very momentary world. Like these are little moments, but people don't realize when expectations exceed reality, it leads to disappointment, which ultimately leads to depression.
Yes.
And everybody has these crazy expectations of how nights should go. And we go out and we're like, it's going to be the best night ever. But why? You tell me like, hey, let's do this podcast today. And I come in, I'm like, it's going to, and I could be stumbling. My voice isn't the word. I have no expectations for anything because I'm just happy that we get to have a good conversation. Absolutely. And that's such a rare luxury in this city.
And it's more at peace too. You're more at peace when you don't have to have an expectation of what the outcome of a situation might be.
Right.
It just makes things so much more easier. That's why I never tell people like, oh, I'm going to ask you this or prepare for this, because then it's not as organic as just having a conversation about your life,
Correct.
And just giving you your flowers and the things that you've done to have growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you were one of the first people to have, this is a terrible segue into the next conversation, but the first, like robberies that happened here in LA
Correct.
was with you.
Yeah.
So how did that kind of like take a toll of everything you were doing, like, growing in LA, moving to LA, and then having that happen to you?
A lot of details are private because it's still an open case, and I've never actually talked about it publicly with anything. But, for me, it was a terrible situation. We're in a very hurt world, and hurt people hurt people.
Absolutely.
And it's not anything that I'm fearful of. I'm not fearful of LA. It's not me that they were after. It was
your things.
Yeah, a material possession that I put a lot of value in.
Right.
And it was a watch, and a very special watch to me. And that situation, it was a terrible, terrible situation. Being robbed, being shot, having to go through that to watch, these young kids go through court, to see everything in the family that they're leaving behind because they chose violence and instead of working hard. And it's just, the whole situation's terrible. But, for me, there was kind of a very nice silver lining in it. And it was something that I had to get through pretty quickly. Was I put so much value in my props, my material possessions, the things that I thought people looked up to me for, was having this car and this watch and these clothing brands or whatever it was. And I was like, I refused to wear a nice watch at that time. After this happened, I went and bought an Apple Watch for the first time in my whole life. By the way, I didn't take enough steps, and that really bothered me. I needed to get rid of that thing. But but I wore an Apple Watch, and I thought people were going to be like, wow, is like Caleb struggling because he's not wearing, a Patek or an RM, right, or an AP or whatever. It might be a Rolex. And it was the most freeing feeling not to have to wear or drive the cars that I'm used to.
Right.
To humble myself. And I found out that more people enjoyed me without the prop, Caleb. And just, hey, this is me. And I'm like, I'm just
your
me.
character.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I don't need anything from you. You don't need anything from me. Let's vibe.
Absolutely.
And that's what I wanted life to be. And
that's how it should be.
But we look at everybody as a stepping stone, a ladder, or what can we squeeze out of this person? And then how do we take until they have nothing left? And then it's like the people that pour back into us, like, what are they pouring back into us? Because it's not equal.
Right.
And we've got to be so careful and guard our hearts, guard our minds, guard our tongues. Like, words are the most powerful thing we have. We have the power to create. We have the power to destroy. So we have to protect that.
Absolutely. And speaking of protection, after that situation happened, how did you feel like going into, your house or your cars or wherever you were able to protect yourself with, that traumatic situation? And sorry that happened to you.
No, thank you. For me, I don't live in a spirit of fear. I live in a very sound mind, and, God's got a plan for my life. And that situation, as terrible as it was, God was around that whole situation. There's no reason I should be here right now. We shouldn't even be talking. And I know that, truthfully. But I'm not stupid. I'm not one of those people. Like, I grew up hunting. I grew up in the South. Like, I don't wear a cowboy hat for shits and giggles.
Right.
Like, this is like who I feel like my true self is, even though I did grow up in the suburbs, but I grew up riding. Like, we had a ranch in the mountains, and like, this is like, we went hunting. We had my parents, I learned how to shoot super young. Like, my uncles, that's all they cared. Like, right. This is our life, and it's not so accepted in a lot of places, but here it was so difficult to own a gun. Like, that, everything I wanted was, it's off register, and then on register, it's got to be an older gun that is not even a good gun. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, the South is very, 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 very different from the West Coast. Very different with gun laws. Very much so, as you know.
Yeah.
You know, so how did that kind of like transpire into the change of being able to carry in Atlanta?
Oh, yeah.
To coming to California and not having that same luxury, especially after going through a traumatic situation.
And it's still tough because it's like, you know, I have a CCW in like 28 states I can carry, no problem. California made it so difficult to protect myself, but they made it so easy for the criminals to just do whatever they want. And I'm like, so they're allowed to have guns. They don't get charged with weapons charges. But if I have a gun as a tax-paying citizen that has good intention and good moral compass,
or need to be protected,
and need to be protected, it's, oh, you got to wait a few years and we might get around to you. And then I'm like, I call my attorney. I'm like, what's my charge if I get caught with a gun right now? And he's like, that's a misdemeanor. He goes, you don't want it, but it's just a misdemeanor. And I'm like, can we fight it if I do get caught? He goes, yeah. I'm like, I'm just going to carry.
Right.
The law here was like, hey, you need to have your gun locked away separate. You had to have your ammunition locked away. Right. So I'm like, so when somebody attacks me or aggresses me, like, and I know California's not a stand your ground state, I'm like, you want me to like time out and then walk to my trunk
and load your gun,
be like, hey, no, wait, hold on, I need to make sure this. I'm gonna put my magazine in. I'm gonna rack it, and I'm just gonna, and then we can go, and then we'll go time in.
Like we're in the Matrix or something, where we're like, all right, pause on the play, let me go do everything I need to do, and then come back and have a conversation with you.
Yeah,
as you already have yours ready to go, finger on the trigger.
Yeah, but you know, for me, it's like I never, even in most situations, if somebody pulled a gun on me, I probably won't pull my gun on them, because it's, you can see intention with people, but that also comes with training. And all these people now, out of fear, have bought guns and no training. And that's the scariest thing to me, having all these people run around with handguns and rifles and no idea how to use them.
Agree. Like, it's just like, I feel like it's a recipe for disaster, especially when kids get a hold of them and do crazy shit, like, you know, shoot up the schools, or like, I genuinely feel like if we're going to have the ability to carry guns, it should solely be for protection. And that is it.
I agree 100%. And I completely agree that there should be mental health checks. I have, as a law-abiding citizen and somebody that has nothing to hide, I have no problem with you sending me for a mental checkup to own a gun.
Agreed.
I'm like, hey, please make sure I'm okay. Absolutely. Check my medicine. If my doctor sends you something and being like, hey, you shouldn't have a gun while you're on this, I would agree.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, because there's so much mental health that's going on right now that you can have a gun for protection, but you might not be mentally sane enough to carry a gun and then inflict harm on yourself to where it goes left. And, you know, who's to say that anyone was to think that that would happen that way if they didn't do a mental check, like you said. Right. There has to be like precautionary things that happen prior to owning a gun that we don't have. It's just like, you know, just like, for example, Alabama, you could literally go into a gun store, buy a gun, get a gun license, get your pistol license, and now you're certified to have or carry a gun in all these states. And you don't even know how to take the safety off. No. Or load the magazine or whatever that may be. Exactly. Like, so it's just the simple, I think, like you said, it should come with a mental health check. It should come with some type of training, and it should come with like when and where to use, like some type of documentation on how you're going to use it, when you're going to use it.
Oh yeah,
etc.
But I had friends that just applied for their CCWs. They didn't even know that, like, you can't brandishing a firearm, which is just pulling it out, exposing it, showing it in any way whatsoever, is brandishing. That is an actual felony. If you're using that for intimidation to show them that you are that, if you have to match that violent, like, again, we're the castle doctrine in California. It's not a stand your ground state. In your home, you're okay, but the laws are not on your side here. So you need to be above reproach, and you have to know what you're doing, because I would hate for one of my friends to defend themselves or think that they needed to defend themselves and then end up in jail for 25 plus years because they shot the wrong person, or that person was retreating and they got shot in the back, any jury is going to be like, hey, they were retreating, you're at fault, jail.
Right.
You know, there's so many things that are not for you, and people's ability to read people lacks dramatically. I mean, you and I both have street smarts. We understand who we're dealing with at all times.
Right.
Most people don't. They're on their phones. They're sitting there. They're just like,
They're
oh,
not.
yeah, this is my friend. That's not your friend. That's not, that person doesn't have your best interest at heart. It might be any which way,
Absolutely.
but it's,
and it's a fine line between calling someone your friend and being actually a friend or an associate, especially here in LA. It's very like, I guess, what's the word, used very loosely of
I'm
friendship.
guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I used to be, oh, that's my friend. And then people would come in and be like, that's not your friend. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, that's
what did they do?
not your friend.
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
like, but I love everybody. They're like,
no, exactly.
they don't love you.
No, seriously.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
And it's unfortunate that it has
hurts.
to be like that, because it's like, I feel like there's a lot of comparison here in LA, and it's like, oh, if you're, I don't know, more elevated than someone, then it's like there's some type of like animosity or envy or like hate towards, you know, you or I. And it's just like, you just want the best for everyone. And why can't everyone just have a good time and just be the best and just, you know, no drama, no problems. And we can all have a great time.
You can't, though.
And it's insane though. Like it's like, I don't know. I just want world peace.
Every week I get a call from a girl being like, hey, I just want to let you know I had to unfollow you on Instagram. I go, why? They're like, because my boyfriend doesn't like you. And I'm like, what did you do? I'm like, what did I do? Like, he just doesn't like you. And I talked earlier about like, we see things as we are, not as they are. And every guy would be like, friends with a lot of girls, I assume that you're hooking up with all of them.
Right.
And I'm like, honestly, no. Like, I'm so picky with anything because it's like, that's my soul. Like, that's my heart. Like, I'm not going to go sleep with anybody and everybody because that doesn't validate me. I'm not like, it's cool. Like, yes, I mean, we all love sex. We all like to have fun and do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, how do I feel after? Who do I feel that with? If there's not like an emotional and a physical connection, it means nothing to me. Like, I rather just stay away from everybody, because when it is meaningful and it is special, it's 10 out of 10. If not, I'd rather just go home and watch Pornhub. I'm like this.
Pornhub is terrible.
I know, it really is. Honestly, that was another thing that I had to go through. It's like my reality was getting screwed because I'm like, wait, you're telling me like a mom and her daughter are not going to hop in my car and want to have sex with me? You know, like, or like it's crazy.
It was a mental.
I'm like, the shit that they're putting out, I'm like, this isn't even reality.
It's insane. It's just like everything now. I just feel like it's like our world is just like slowly but surely crumbling, and it's like us as humans, like, how do we fix it? Because it's like, I feel like it's.
But how do we fix ourselves? Like, how do we get better? Like, you know me, I know you. If you see me out and you're like, Caleb, you're better than how you're acting, I'm not going to get upset with you.
But I'm going to tell you. Like, I'm the type of person that's be like, all right, Caleb, relax now. And I feel like you would be like, all right, Telli, relax now.
But I appreciate those things. Some people are super sensitive because they're like.
Or some people might not even tell you and just give you like a look to be like, okay.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
I'll walk up to strangers. I'm like, hey, you're better than this. Calm down. And they're like, what? Like, who? And then they get mad for a second, but then you see them like, hey, you're right. Thank you so much.
Right. And it's more of a respect thing, though, too.
Always. And it's delivery. People don't know how to manage their tones either.
Yes.
You can't talk to everybody the same.
Absolutely. You kind of have to like read the room and then, you know, go about it the best possible way to kind of dictate how that person is and how they're going to receive what you're going to say.
Correct.
Okay. So for everyone that comes on, we play this game of Would You Rather.
Yeah.
I want to play with you. We're playing the After Dark.
Oh, God.
The After Dark edition. So it's going to get
dark.
Let's go. Dark and let's go. Okay. So you have to, the rules of the game is you can't remix the answer. You can give an explanation, but you have to pick. Got it?
Wait, hold on. I need to drink this water.
Want me to go over again?
Yes.
You can't remix the answer.
Okay.
You have to pick. So this or that. And you can give an explanation as to why you answered the way you did. And these are pretty like you're going to want to give an explanation.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So we're going to pick 6 cards each. I'm playing with you too.
So I have to wear my 6 cards anywhere?
Yeah, pick anywhere.
Wow,
1,
that's
2, 3,
different ones.
4. I'm going to do the same.
I need some randoms. And then last one.
Get some extras just in case you don't want the other.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, this is
God.
this is actually get robbed at gunpoint.
I'm
not gonna.
we've already done that.
We've
Let's
already
go
answered
again.
this one. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna grab a few more. Okay. All right. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
And these are so bad.
They're
this
terrible.
is not okay.
They are terrible.
This is so bad. This is not a good thing. Can we do like checkers or something? Like
No, this
go
is
fish?
this is chess. Now, okay, this is chess. Now you're in the hot seat, but I'm there with you, so it's not.
All right.
It's not as bad. Okay.
All right. You go first.
All right. Okay. Would you rather find your significant other on an escort site or offer oral sex to every 5th person you see every day?
Oh my God. and wait, but the 5th person could be
A man.
no. I'd rather find my. I hope she's bringing in the money. I need her. Like, yo, babe.
At this point,
I get 20%.
You're
Yo,
pimping her out.
yo,
You're the manager.
be a pro. That's cool. I'll support you.
All right. It's on you.
Okay. Well, mine are not that bad.
Wow.
Would you rather laugh uncontrollably every time you see someone naked for the first time,
That's so offensive.
or make dinosaur sounds when you come?
Wow. I would laugh uncontrollably and be like, it's some type of disorder that I have that I'm so sorry. I would let them know prior to laughing.
But that would ruin them. Like,
No,
there's
it really would. And I was like, that's
then
so
you wouldn't
offensive.
get
And
anything.
then and then it wouldn't happen. But like I would, I guess, try to make it happen because I know that's something that I have no control over and be like, I'm gonna make it better for you. I don't know, but I feel like that's what you would have to do because it's like. Or dinosaur noises, like what am I going to sound like, a pterodactyl? Like, like, and how is that going to work?
Not good.
It's just
This
either
is all
way, you're
terrible.
just all bad.
No, it's terrible.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Okay. Would you rather take 2 shots of bleach or stick a needle in your eye?
2 shots of bleach.
But wouldn't you like die?
It's
or you
cool.
have to get it clogged? Or you have to get it like
I'll put in, I don't know. I'll go to the bathroom. I'll figure it out.
No, I feel like you would have to get like your stomach pumped out.
Yeah,
Or, like,
that's cool. I'm good
it's
with that.
bleach.
A needle in my eye? Are you crazy?
But you would live.
Yeah, but I would have a needle in my eye.
But you would, I think you would die with 2 shots of bleach.
If I
Is
get,
that how much bleach do you need to die?
I don't know, but I'm good with it. Let me go.
Off of 2
listen.
shots of bleach.
I hate needles more than anything. I know I'm tattooed.
I was going to say.
I am terrified of needles. I still feel pain from my childhood, like shots.
Oh my God.
Terrified of needles. But I'll get blasted and fall asleep. I'm tattooed head to toe. I will fall asleep getting tattooed, but I cannot get a shot.
That's insane.
Hate it.
It's probably deeper. The needle's deeper.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing.
Yeah, and I feel like it goes into my heart or something. I don't know.
I felt that with like I have a chest tattoo and I felt that like they were gonna dig in my heart when I got it.
I
And
actually
was
thought they were when they started doing my chest, and I've got like 30 hours on my stomach and my chest, and I'm like, they're shading, and I'm like, you're touching my heart, you're shading
no,
my
literally,
heart. I'm like, this is not okay.
It's a feeling for sure.
Would you rather have sex with your mom
Negative.
or with your dad's lower half?
No.
Oh no,
No way. What?
No way. Oh no, I can't. I can't even. This is the
what?
most. This is not okay. Okay. All right.
With
hold on.
your dad's lower half?
Yeah, with
like,
your mom, with your dad's lower half. This is not okay. We're not doing this.
Ew.
No. This
like
is
your
so-
mom's top half?
Yeah, and your dad's lower half,
Or
not-
what's the other question?
No. Oh well, I got to figure out another one. 'Cause we're gonna redo this. So
What?
that is not okay. Would you rather only be attracted to people who think you're ugly, or get waterboarded in Guantanamo Bay?
I would rather be I would be attracted to the people that think I'm ugly.
you would only be attracted to people who don't think you're pretty. They think you're ugly, it says.
But I'm attracted to them.
You're attracted to them. They're not attracted to you. Or get waterboarded.
I would take the people that's not attracted to me. Only because I would, like, if everyone else is telling me, like, oh, you're this, and he just has, like, I would think it's like a sickness.
Yeah.
And I would be like, okay, you're sick, but you love me, and it's okay. Because you don't have to think
but
I look good.
That doesn't mean they're going to be with you. You're only attracted to them.
Oh, so I'm only attracted to,
you're only attracted to people that don't think you're anything. Like they're
not going to be with me, but I'm just like,
yeah, you're attracted to them, but you don't want anybody else.
I'm just going to be a lonely bitch.
Yeah. Do you want to be lonely or get waterboarded?
What is the definition of waterboarding?
Not good.
What does it mean?
I mean, we'll go into the details. They're putting a towel over. It's drowning, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Like they are bringing you to that moment where your lungs are filled with water, and then they stop.
Is it just a one-time thing?
No, this is going on for a while.
Like you're waterboarding, like, is that a one-time thing?
Sure, you get one-time waterboard.
But you don't die. You're just drowned. Or you're at the moment of death.
Yeah. But you're going to feel like, okay,
I'll take that. All right. Because I'm like, I don't want to die lonely.
Good to know.
Like.
Solid.
Yeah, I think that would be the better choice. I thought there was like something sexual. And I was like,
waterboarding? You're like, oh, yeah.
I was like, is this like Beyonce's like ride the surfboard?
Surfboard?
Like, is that what that is?
That is not it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I learned something new. Okay. Would you rather have your nose be replaced by a permanently erect penis or accidentally grab crazy glue instead of lube?
Wait, hold on. How do we get crazy glue off?
I mean, you would have to go to the hospital.
Yo, I'll go to the hospital. Crazy glue all day long.
Literally attached.
Yeah, it's cool. Fucking run it.
You know what's crazy? I've had hospital. I used to work in the ER, and I've had hospital situations where it's been bad. Yeah. Not as bad as the crazy glue, but like it's been bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. I don't even want to know.
So wait, you're doing the crazy glue?
100%. A penis nose? Gee whiz. Gosh.
Like permanently erect is crazy.
Yeah. Like, damn. What do I snort, Cialis? Like, gee. All right, here we go.
Okay, it's on you.
This one's fucked. So, would you rather write a death threat to the president and mail it to the White House with your return address?
You're going to jail.
100%.
Instantaneously.
Or only be able to eat things that you find in a public trash can?
Oh, Lord. I love food. I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
I'm going to jail.
They have food in jail. Not great. But
yeah, but
that's pretty much public trash cans.
Yeah, exactly. So you're fucked up either way.
Yeah, there's no winning that one.
Like, what would you choose?
Oh, 100%. I would totally go to jail.
Yeah, I'm writing the letter, and I'm going to write it very well.
Very well.
I'm going to give
grammar.
You the best.
Great grammar.
I'm going to give you the best, most punctual.
Yeah. I'll chat GPT that letter right now.
Give me the best letter to get to jail and send it to the White House.
Cool. I'm going to make that a meme. That's going on my story.
Tell everybody where they can find you, what you have coming up, how Stagecoach was and how amazing it was, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm Caleb. My Instagram is @Caleb'sLife. I have nothing coming up because I don't plan anything. I'm just happy to be alive right now and made it get through Stagecoach and Coachella twice. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, make sure you guys follow Caleb because he has literally the best posts that will make you smile and you will just be amazed at what he posts on his stories.
Thank you so
much. It will crack you up or make you feel like
if the shoe
it's
fits,
relatable.
Yeah, if the shoe fits, you got to wear it.
Definitely. And that is it for Telli Talks.